Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gamer Dad channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today I have a video for you guys and I'm bringing it live to you from my iPhone with the crappy audio that you're getting. So forgive me. I'm sitting in the car and I'm free to just sit here and just reflect on some of gaming's possible worst nightmares. So I thought I'd just share it with you. Why not? I mean, why would I be miserable alone? So let's talk about NFTs. Oh, NFTs. Now, what is the driving force behind these non-fungible tokens, these digital art pieces or digital assets and their so-called inherent value that it has to make its way into video games in some form of fashion? Well, I think publishers are the ones who stand to gain from them because an NFT will more than likely cost very little to produce. You know, if I paid my graphic artist say $25 to design an hour, or maybe they spend 30 minutes designing an NFT asset, and that asset starts to sell for $100, $200, $300 and it's being traded within the ecosystems and I'm getting a cut. Well, I'm making money for something that I basically spent very little to produce and throw into one of my multi-million-dollar video games that has exposure to many people. So the publisher stands to gain from it. I don't think the developers want these in their games. In fact, if you go on Twitter, a lot of developers, producers are speaking out against this stuff. The publishers, on the other hand, are the ones that are kind of, in a sense, vague. I mean, I've seen some video games where someone basically, some game said, we're no longer going to put NFTs in our game. And even with the Division 2, Yannick, the creative director, said there are no current plans for NFTs in the game. Now, I know we'll probably say, well, that doesn't sound like a definite no, but also I've heard the same no current plans for survival in the Division 2, and we haven't seen survival in the Division 2. So I guess they don't have any current plans for survival as well in the Division 2. Neither do they have any current plans for NFTs. So safe to say we're not going to be seeing NFTs until we see survival, or at least until plans change. So that kind of statement and sentiment was kind of vague. But again, I guess we're going to take it for what it is. Now, here are some of the really interesting issues. NFTs have their value to those who are skilled or knowledgeable in how to trade them and how they work. I'm not here inherently saying that they're a bad thing. I'm just saying adopting them into video games has some propensity to open some doors that will be better left closed. Think about it. The little kid that, mommy and daddy bought him this really cool video game, but now there's an item in there. And you know how these things can suck people in. And by the way, there's the research. I saw it somewhere on Quora. I can't find the freaking answer that somebody actually said that the reason male gamers like cosmetic items in video games is because it gives them an opportunity to play dress up Barbie and not necessarily have to do it with Barbie dolls. Instead, they do it with their tunes and their avatars in video games. Now, I like cosmetics too. I'm not going to sit here and tell you like, darn it, I don't like Nah, bro, I play Mortal Kombat 11 and the way my characters look, I really do like it. So I'll go farm the towers and all of these things to get new costumes and outfits. And once in a while, I may find myself buying a cosmetic item here or there. It doesn't necessarily bother me. Now, again, I've said it on this channel, many of us are grown adults and we can do whatever it is we feel we want to do with our money. You could take it to your backyard and light it on fire. But how about the little kid that has access to mom and dad's credit card? I mean, they shouldn't, but they maybe mom and dad was trying to buy them a cosmetic just to kind of reward them for doing their homework. Mom and dad didn't remove the credit card as a payment method, and now they have access to go ahead and start buying NFTs. How is that going to serve young people when they don't know or understand the responsibility that goes into financial things of that nature? And I think this is where my major concern is, rather than saying NFTs itself as a whole do not need to be in video games or whatever. It's just the opportunity for this to influence the younger generations as they are not necessarily aware or trained. I'm not saying we should shield the younger generations. God forbid. I think we should educate and teach them. But not until that's done can we eventually say, okay, they can now go to the sources where these things are being traded to start to go ahead and, dabble into learning or maybe buying a few or getting free ones. There are a lot of free ones out there, believe it or not. I got a free NFT. It's the only one I have. And it was given away by DC during the DC fandom event. So this is where I see the biggest danger for NFTs as a whole. I strongly believe that in terms of all of that, that the NFTs. Hold on, my wife decided to open the door to the car. I was trying to tell her, don't do it. Don't do it. Do you find what you're looking for?
I was looking for the bag.
It's in the house. I took it in the house. See, I was being a good husband and I actually took it into the house. But as I was saying, the whole aspect, you got to really bring it into full picture and the full perspective and say that this might not necessarily be beneficial. I don't see a future where this becomes something great for anyone. And this is, again, the little tug of war, the strife that we have with the entire proxies within gaming. And that's the fact that you're going to have publishers continue to make these moves that are in many cases antithetical to their business model, just so that they can probably find a way to grab this immediate initial bag. And this happens with a lot of big companies. But, I guess what's going to be the real telling point, though, is how we, the gamers, respond. You see, for the most part, we gamers have a lot of power, but we never necessarily have tapped into it. And I think it's come down full circle to where we actually do that. I think we need to actually tap into this super amazing power that we have, which is called the power of the wallet. It's the W, big old W that we all, we wear an undervest and it's imprinted on there. And if we basically just, pull our shirts back, bam, you see the superhero. We actually control the financial part of this video game development side. And that's basically what proxy number one business wants. So how do we respond to all of this? Are we going to literally just ignore these ecosystems, these financial ecosystems? Are we going to, basically not even purchase the video games? What are we going to really do about it? And I think that's where it is that we need this conversation to start to drive. Now, here's the other problem. The developers are in a place where if we don't buy these video games, they may find themselves in a situation where they're out of work. They don't necessarily get maybe raises or bonuses. But I think if we want a sustainable gaming ecosystem down the road, I think it's a sacrifice that every single one of us will have to make. I mean, just in the past few, months, a lot of game developers have left their jobs and moved on to smaller indie studios. Even some within the Division ecosystem have moved studios, and these were very talented developers that were in charge of building some really interesting core systems. And they've moved to other studios. I'm not mentioning any names here, but I think it's interesting for us to be able to start seeing that. And your local indie game is out there, just like your local mom and pop shop. And these are the games that I feel we need to start focusing on. Now, yes, they may not provide the amount of quality of video game and may not have the resources, but I think they start to, at some point, look more appealing as those that deserve our dollars. Now, here's my own appeal, and I made this huge rant on Twitter. I'm calling the indie developers, the wannabe indie developers, the aspiring, solo devs to continue to press on in this journey. The journey is hard, but Ubisoft did not land here on some jet from some planet. They started their enterprise years ago. It will take time. The indie games, yes, they're gaining momentum, but we on this side need to give them a little bit more time. It may be a decade. It may be 2 decades, but that's how they all came up. I mean, look at the Sony platforms. Look at how long Nintendo and all these companies have been making video games. It will take some time for these other new enterprises that want to serve gamers to come up. So now that they're actually in their incubator phases, or now that some of them have brought out their video games, I think it's more important for you to go on, say, maybe even the Steam sale, and just buy yourself 5. The Christmas sale is coming up. Buy yourself 5 indie games that you probably won't even play, or buy it for your kids. And if they want to play it, wonderful. If not, no, buy it for your nephews and nieces, for your grandkids, just to do something like that, to support these studios and try to fast track their move towards where they can compete. And we don't have to have these conversations, because the moment a big company tries it, we have an indie studio that's making a quality game that we can always pick up as an option. These are my thoughts about NFTs and the business side in terms of gaming. I would love to hear your own side of this whole conversation. I know some people here in this community, you're pro NFTs, you think it's an awesome thing. I don't think it's inherently a terrible thing. I'm just concerned about how that's going to affect the quality of gaming, and how that's probably going to affect even the youngins that have no idea on how to actually manage resources. So like I said, I'd love to hear your thoughts either way. Thank you so much for listening to the video. Peace out.